Recording.
Hello, everyone.
Happy double
Um,
eviction night.
in terms of rankings, happy triple eviction. We've got three more people gone.
Yep.
Um, you've heard of ranking 6, 7. Now here's ranking 9, 10. Um,
21.
yeah, we've got quite a lot to talk about actually. We had a Gabby HOH where she sent home Julia, which we have not heard the end about since that's happening.
Up until right
Um,
now.
up until right now, when we then had a Sarah HOH where Gabby went home, and then a double eviction where EJ went home. I actually like just to hit like the highlights. I think Julia is rightfully upset that Gabby sent her home. However, I think is more upset than she deserves to be because I disagree that this was like the dumbest thing for Gabby to do. I think Julia should have been like the fourth option, not the third. Um, but all to say, like, wasn't outside the realm of things. However, then we had the Sarah HOH, who made the move of the century. I am so excited to talk about Sarah. Um, and now Gabby's out of here. And then Rod, I think, fumbled this double a little bit, but actually, no, I take that back. I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, we'll dive in. We'll dive in. There's so much to talk about. We are left with a final six that is quite impressive, and we'll dive into it all.
Starting with Abdul.
Starting with Abdul. Um, for Abdul, I was sitting at a 5, and that's because I felt that Abdul was starting to lower on everyone's totem poles, which I do think we started to see in these last 2 weeks, um, where you had the CAG side that I think all were ready to let him be their fall guy. You had Rod and Sarah, who of their side definitely felt the least close with Abdul. And then EJ doesn't have any, like EJ heard that Abdul would have like sent him home. So like Abdul was definitely on the fall. Um for week uh 9, I have chosen to stay at my 5. Um I considered going up for a moment, and that was because of the fact that Julia went home. And Julia going home, I think, benefited Abdul probably the most, maybe next to Zion, um, where the two of them did not have any kind of relationship, and Julia going home kind of set himself up to be in that better middle position. With that said, I think his position within that middle continued to slip further, which is why I ultimately chose not to go up. But it certainly did not go down. So for week 9, I have stayed at a 5. Stephen, would you like to talk about Abdul's week 9 now, or should I give my week 10
Yeah,
thoughts
let
as
me talk
well
about week
and
nine,
then we
week
move
nine
on?
first.
Great.
Um, I'm also going to be staying at a 5. Um, I think at least in the perspective of week 9, the people who he's working with are all kind of positioned better than him. So I feel like the game is starting to be played around him a little bit as far as the week 9 perspective goes. Um, but he's not like he's still like playing and connecting well. And I think that in the right scenario, he could win in the end, depending. So I think 5 is a good spot for right now. And I'm excited to talk about his week 10 too.
Yes, Abdul week 10. So yeah, staying at the 5 for week 9. For week 10, um, I have to clap and cheer for Abdul. Because here's the thing about Abdul, and it's kind of been consistent from the start. On the whole, I don't mean this shadily, because I'm going to get to the back end of the statement in a second. On the whole, for me personally, I think Abdul is a bit of a sleeper player in the sense that most of the time I'm like, Abdul, like, what are we doing? However, consistently across the board, there has never been a single time where Abdul has needed to step it up and do something or make a move and hasn't. He is always, whether it be the initial vote saving Ava against Faith, whether it be the veto fiasco where he didn't end up saving Zion, like any moment where it was like, okay, a turning point is about to happen, he's kicked it up and he's been on the right side of it every single time. In this week, he was going home. He absolutely was going home. And he started to realize it and then convinced Sarah, of all people, who, yes, he now has this new foursome with, but like they had no relationship. In fact, it was an actively bad and tumultuous relationship. And the fact that he was able to convince her to keep him off the block, to put up Zion, of all people, and kept them all safe is fantastic. Heading out of this double, EJ going is fantastic for him because he was probably the person least connected to EJ, and EJ was probably most actively coming after, if I'm being quite honest. Um, Not that he really would have been able to do anything aside from winning HOH, which never say never, but you know. Um, and now he's left with Karina and Zion on one side, specifically a Karina and Zion without a Gabby, which makes Abdul so much more crucial. You've
Mhm.
also got Rod and Sarah on the other side, who, yes, I think are prioritizing Zion. However, I think, and I felt this way about Zion for a while, I think Zion is going to be set for a while. However, I think we're now at the final six. As soon as we get into these weeks where all it takes is one person to take a shot, I like Abdul's chances of staying more than I like Zion's chances. So I think that's good for Zion. Um, and with how he handled this vote, I think Cooper's leaving the double feeling very good about Abdul. So I'm very impressed. I'm tempted to go up higher than this. However, I don't know what his win equity is, and now that we're at the final six, I am heavily considering that as well. So I will be certainly moving to a green score. It will only be a six for this week. I want to see how this next week unfolds. But Abdul is not one to sleep on, but I don't think he is the favorite. But I was very impressed this week. So it'll be a six. Could be maybe, I don't know, maybe it is a seven.
Yeah, I was deciding.
You know what? Actually, no. I To stay consistent with this season, where I gave a lot of probably lower scores than I would have if I I was on a trend of giving really bad scores for really bad gameplay. I don't want to sit here now and be like, he did well, but his positions, whatever. No, I think I will stick to that trend for consistency's sake, and I am going to give it a seven. Because speaking it out loud, I think, especially now that Gabby is gone, too many people need him, and his gameplay this week was phenomenal. I'm going to give him the seven.
Yeah, I mean, this move is really impressive. Like, he was gonna go home. He kind of realized that he needed to kind of skip EJ, who was the veto holder, and go right to Sarah, because he knew that convincing EJ wasn't gonna really work to not use the veto. So he went right to Sarah. And honestly, like, I didn't think Sarah was even wavering up until like maybe a half hour before the veto meeting. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's actually considering it. And then she took 15 minutes to make a decision. But I,
Oh, wait, I didn't even see that. Was the video meeting long?
oh my gosh. Wait, you have to go look at it. EJ made the decision. Sarah, like, what was still talking to other people when I was like, you need to make a decision. I literally said, Sarah, you need to make a decision right now, like three times. And then I said, Sarah, the next person you text, I'm exposing that you are talking to that person and what you are saying. Um, it was
I
so
had no idea.
she
Are
was
you
talking to
kidding?
everybody, and it was like literally 4:15 or whatever, like five, whatever, 5:15.
5:15. Yeah,
And I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like, Sarah, you can talk, but you have to talk in here if you're gonna talk. Um,
gagged.
yeah. But anyway, Abdul, I don't know, because I was also deciding between a six or a seven. And I think he's gonna need some sort of flashy move if he wants a shot at winning. Because right now I'm like, Cooper's a flashier player, Karina and Zion are flashier players. Like I think everyone else is a flashier player
I
now.
think every single person left is last year player. Yeah,
And I think I'm only gonna go to a six,
that's fair.
but very impressive move this week. I just am like don't know where he stands in terms of winning.
For Abdul to win this game, he needs, I think, the power to continue to bounce back and forth, and then he needs to win like the final four veto or final HOH and make
Yeah,
the Ashley Hollis cutting Morgan move
let's
is what I
go.
think his path needs to be.
Cooper.
Cooper. Um, yeah. In week 7, I was at, or sorry, in week 8, I was at a 4, you were at a 5. Um, for week 9, I will be staying at my 4. Um, it's because he lost to Julia. I can't justify much going up. He's been in an interesting spot where after losing Julia, which definitely wasn't ideal for him, Cooper's has this crazy ability to say the boldest things to everyone and just like get away with it. Um, and like no one's really comparing notes because I think they think that Cooper's being really real with them, but also I think that Cooper, as clearly I think shown by like the moves of this upcoming week as well, like now that EJ is gone, I think has fills that position of like person that's with us that we can let go of. And that's not a fantastic position. I mean, I am going to spoil my week 10 score because I don't really have anything new to say. I'm going to be staying at a 4 again. Um, and it is because he landed on the block in the double. Um, and I think that, to be quite honest, Gabby going in the end actually didn't end up being fantastic for him. Um, their relationship has been so weird, but I think they actually had a girl so confusing relationship. Um,
What?
where like they did work it out in the end.
They worked it out on the remix.
Yeah. Um, and
What's that girl's
I
name?
don't know, I see him kind of in a position where like he's got Rod and Sarah, but they're prioritizing Zion and Abdul over them. And then he's got Zion and Karina, but I think they're prioritizing Abdul over him as well. So while everyone else is targeting someone else first, I have a tough time believing that he's not literally everybody's replacement nom, and that's kind of a tough position. I also think that this jury is really not inclined to vote for him. So that's why I'm at a 4.
Um, I was at the five. For week nine, I'm gonna go down to a four for losing Julia. I think that wasn't great. I'm trying to decide for my week 10. Because the thing is, like, he should not still be here. Like, I don't know how we're here and in the final six and he's still here. And it's crazy because all he does is talk shit on everybody and it doesn't go home. And yes, he was a nominee in the double eviction. I guess could have been in trouble if nominations changed, but that really depends because if there was a big move made, it might have gone through. I think I'm gonna go back up to a 5 for week 10. I am interested to see if he was to would to make it to the end, how his approach to like getting to win the game would be. Um, I'd be interested to see that. I think he's
I'll
played
be so candid. I think that he's got a 0% chance of winning this jury over, is my take.
I am not disagree. I what I'm not agreeing with that, but I'm also not disagreeing with it. Um, I think he would have a tough time, and he would have to. I think he would only not have a chance of winning the jury over because he wouldn't do what he needs to do in order to win them over. Not,
Correct. Correct.
not that
That
he can't do that. You know what I mean?
correct.
Um, but I think he's played a
Yeah,
strong
sorry.
game.
I don't mean he can't. I mean he won't.
I think he's played a strong game this season. Um, Again, I don't think he should still be here. So the fact that he is says a lot. Um, yeah, I'm giving him a 5 props for gameplay and the fact that he's still here. Um, so 4 and then 4. Cool. EJ,
I I don't know. I've said all there is to say about EJ. I'm unfortunately really just not impressed with the decision making. And I think Sarah ripped him a new one. And honestly, like talked everything. And I don't think he wanted to hear it because I don't think he believes what Sarah was saying, but like Sarah was right in what she said in this most recent week in week 10. Um, where starting with week 9, Julie went home. EJ did literally like the prize old tale as old as time thing that I hate to see, which was, oh, Julia going would be better, or Julia staying would be better for my game. Can't do it though. Okay, why not? Why not? You've talked to no one about this possibility. There were people that I think would consider it. Why didn't we even try to get the conversation going? You only needed two other votes, and one of them was Karina, who I think would have. Um, do I think that it would have been a really uphill battle? Yeah, absolutely. The fact that there was not even any kind of effort there, I'm just like the ability to like just not think and do anything active for our own game bewilders me, especially on a season when we have so many people doing active things for their game. Um, EJ was kind of the king of sit back and do absolutely jack shit. In fact, usually taking steps to do things to worsen his game. Um, Not to tear him a new one because Sarah did that enough already. For week 9-10, I am sticking with what I have in my phone, which is staying at a 3.
For week
I
9.
didn't have an explicit
For week 9.
for week 9. Yes, I did not have an explicit reason to go down. Yes, Julia going wasn't great for
I'm gonna be at a
him.
3
However, it
also.
wasn't the
I'm gonna be at a 3.
worst. Um, then moving on to week 10. Um, him winning this veto, did provide for the most interesting scenario, so I am glad that he won it. However, when he told Sarah he was using it, Sarah clocked him so bad. Where do I think she was taking it a little more personally? For sure. However, when she was saying things like, EJ, this doesn't make sense, you are constantly prioritizing people that have shown you through their actions that they do not have your back. They had the opportunity to save you in the chain. They didn't. They've had the opportunity to work with you. They haven't. They've only used you for a vote and then they've kept you for a side versus us, the people that actually chose to work with you for the longest time. And you've turned your back on us time and time again because of Karina and Gabby convincing you. So why are you once again choosing to do this? And he just like only said, it's just what's best for my game right now. And Sarah said, if your game is getting Karina to the end and her winning, then yeah, I agree. It's what's best for your game. And that said it all for me. Sure enough, EJ goes up in the double, and what happens? Everyone is happy to let him go over Cooper, the other nominee, who is provided to be more of an advantage and better ally. Um, I'm not shocked. This is entirely his own fault through his actions of the entire season. It's a one for me.
Yeah, I'm at a one as well. Uh, I don't have much more to say. I mean, it was unfortunate that he wasn't like really here for his eviction, and I'm hoping everything is well there. Uh,
Yes.
but like, but
If he
everything that
was
was bad,
here,
everything that was bad happened before.
everything would have happened the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have the same. Um, so hoping everything is well there, but he's out now, and it's really due to the fact that he has not been actively playing for himself the whole season. So that's that for EJ. Okay, cool.
Karina's most recent DR. Like, damn. I don't disagree. We'll get to it later. Um,
Gabby.
Gabby. Okay. Okay. So this was week 9, Gabby's HOH week. Um,
She did not want to win HOH.
here's the thing. Julia is clearly been very quick to say this was the dumbest possible thing for Gabby, and she's so sad and that's upset because it made no sense and yada yada yada. Did this make no sense for Gabby? No. No, it did not make no sense. This was not the worst possible move that could have happened. So I want to dispel those rumors. Would I classify this as a good move? No. I don't think that putting up Julia was her optimal move, and I do think that it actively her getting Julia out of the way exposed herself immediately to be the next biggest threat that people wanted out. People were talking about Gabby as a snake, and she stuck to her word and prioritized her allies, those being Abdul, Zion, Karina, and to an extent Cooper, but she couldn't target Cooper. Um, and their relationship was so confusing. I'm like, it's whatever. Um, she she should have just put up EJ. Is really what the answer is. I don't care in what order. You can say what you will about putting up Sarah and Rod to begin with. You had the deal with Rod. I don't hate the EJ Sarah noms. I think they made sense. I think the Rod Sarah noms also make sense because we know that Rod won the veto. Um, so if she lets Rod off the block and he wins, he saves Sarah, which then she absolutely should and would put up Julia anyway, and she would go home. However, in the way that it unfolded, I think she should have made EJ the replacement nominee, and they should have let either Sarah or EJ go home. I honestly think I don't know who goes home in that scenario because I think Zion and Abdul are fighting hard to keep Sarah, but I think Julia and Karina are fighting hard to save EJ.
Or giving our scores. Yeah.
Yeah. All to say, I will be dropping my score down on Gabby, but it's not hitting rock bottom. This was not the worst possible thing for her to do. I just don't think it was good. So it'll be a 4 from me.
Are you just doing week 9?
I'm just doing week 9.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, she said that winning this HOH was not good for her, and she didn't want to, and it kind of just happened with Cooper being safe too. That was kind of like her easy. If she wanted to do something easy. Um, I am gonna be at a 4 as well. But I
It
love
sucks to say
we're
this.
talking about.
I don't think her winning this HOH was a bad idea. I think winning this HOH was an actively good idea, even with Cooper being safe. She had three easy noms. Sarah and Rod have had her name in their mouths for weeks, putting them
Mhm.
up great initial noms. It just clearly was like backdoor EJ
Mhm.
was the obvious choice. You're losing someone that's not with you. Julia was with her. Do I think that Julia would have taken Gabby to the end necessarily? No. Julia, I love you down, girl. However, hindsight being like I talked to you while you were still in the game, you had no idea who you were taking. So if you're saying you were taking Gabby, that's a falsehood. With that said, Julia absolutely had other noms lined up right now that would not have been Gabby. Julia was in the short term for sure loyal to Gabby, and I think would have gone with however the game unfolded. It was too early to say where it would have gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely not ideal. Moving forward to week 10, I mean, obviously we know what happened. She got put up by Sarah, kind of rightfully so, and then they got outplayed with the
Yeah.
rep nom is what happened. And I think that Gabby's biggest blind spot in the game, honestly, has been Abdul. And I think Abdul, in this moment, wasn't even her direct biggest op in the sense that he was just fighting for his own safety. But like he was fighting for his own safety also with the purpose of getting Gabby out, who he's wanted out for a while. Um, and I think that had she had her priorities straight, she should have trusted Julia more than Abdul in that number 3 or 4 spot in terms of list of allies. Um, so that was her biggest fault. As soon as Zion got put up, it was kind of a wrap. However, she's been such an active player, on the whole, actively good player, um, that I've loved watching. It will only be a 2 from me. But there really wasn't a world where she stayed after Zion went up. So as much as I would love to give like the 3, it has to be a 2. But it is certainly not a 1. So it's going to be a 2 for me for
Yeah, I'm gonna go
Gabby.
two as well. I think Gabby was one of my favorite people to watch this season, and I'm really glad that she made it as far as she did because you could tell she really cared and she had a lot of fun. And she even said when she was leaving, she was like, "This is the most fun thing I've ever done." And I was like, "I'm really glad that we could make that experience for you." And she really appreciated it. So I have only good things to say about Gabby Greco from BBS as 18, and I feel like we will stay in contact and be friends for a long time. But three or two, sorry.
I'm also hoping, we were talking about this slightly. BBS is 18. For as much of a shit show the gameplay was, especially in the beginning, especially in the jury phase, even a lot of the pre-jurors, but mainly the jury phase, everyone has been a very notable character that has actively played, done really good. Like, we're going to be talking about this cast for a while, and I'm really hoping, for example, granted, we don't know what the long-term future of the franchise is, what season 20 is, so on and so forth. Like, we truly don't. But like, I'm hoping that this is not the last that we see of Gabby either. I think she's got more to give, and I would be excited to see what she would be able to do on a theoretical return at some point in the future.
Yeah, Julia.
Julia Moss. Okay. I was sad to see Julia go here. I do think that she had more to give, and there could have been more of a story to see. Ultimately, I do think that like this result was going to happen one way or the other. I have a tough time believing that Julia was going to win this game, not because of who she is as a player or her capabilities as a player, but unfortunately, her read on what was going on has been a little off from the start, and too many people had it out for her. Zion, Karina, Abdul, Gabby. Um, After that move that she pulled to Johnny, she had Rod and Sarah turned against her. And what on earth was EJ going to do? Save her? Clearly not. She really only had Cooper, who also is a wild card and would have done anything to stay. So her positioning definitely really, really faltered. And ultimately, people did get in Gabby's ear and made Gabby make a suboptimal move. But to be clear, it's been something that they've been talking about for weeks. This is not something that like someone just manipulated Gabby into doing. Like Gabby has had this side and her allies for a very long time, and they've been talking about this move for a very long time. And I think Gabby was less so manipulated by people and more so clouded by the stasis that she's known for so long than thinking like, okay, maybe Julia is actually someone that I should prioritize over some of these people that I've worked with for longer. I think that's what happened more than she got manipulated into putting up Julia. Um, so I want to, yeah, back to Gabby for a second. I want to dispel the rumors that Gabby was manipulated into making a dumb move. I just think that Gabby did not view the wider picture when it came to Julia. Now back to Julia. I will be lowering my score. As soon as she went up, it seemed to be like a sealed deal. Julia kind of knew it. Um, Cooper really did try and push for her, which I loved to see, EJ. Um, and I don't hate the fact that she didn't totally campaign for herself because her presence was certainly felt in her final moments where if she was going out, she was going out swinging, giving clear thoughts as a last ditch effort to stay. I will be lowering my score. It's going to be a 2 for me. Um, and yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. It certainly is not a 3, but I don't think it's a 1. Um,
No, I'm gonna be at a 2 as
this is
well.
just like it's been a long time coming,
Yeah, I mean
and yeah,
she's been kind of escaping the block and escaping targetry for several weeks in a row. And if it wasn't gonna happen when it did, I would be surprised if we were doing this ranking and we weren't still talking about her being evicted um, in the double eviction or in week 10. So I really liked having Julia, and Julia is my friend. And I said preseason, 1 hour after Julia Moss pissed me off and threatened to not be on the season, that I thought Julia's first run was a fluke, and I have officially rescinded that statement. Julia is a great Big Brother player, and we are friends. Okay, 2 for Julia.
this is character growth. This is good. This is good. I love seeing people come together like this.
I'm I'm really just covering my ass for when the draft comes out. There's nothing to. No, I was justified there, so I don't care.
Um, Amazing. Moving on.
Cool. Karina, let's get some green scores in here.
Let's get some green scores from here. I am gonna have two back-to-back green scores for Karina here. Um, I'm a little conflicted as to what they should be though. Um, because for me, I don't know. I don't love the vote to get Julia out here, and I think she kind of pushed for it to happen in a spot where, quite frankly, she shouldn't have. I think for Karina, letting Gabby put up EJ was best because then the votes would have been there for Sarah to go, I think. And that would have been amazing. Um, and with Julia going in the same way that it left Gabby exposed clearly, I think it really leaves Karina exposed. The biggest thing that Karina has going for her is the fact that she's got Zion riding hard for her, and Zion has pull all over the damn house. However, it's Zion is the one that's in the spot that I feel like she should be in if Karina is playing optimally from the start. Um, so I am going to stick with what I have on my phone, and it is still a green score, but I am going to go down to a 6 for Karina in week 9 because I feel like this move wasn't optimal for her. There was certainly a world where Sarah could have and should have gone. She did good work in convincing Gabby to do make Rod and Sarah the initial noms, but we should have made sure one of them went home, not go after Julia instead. Is what I think should have been the move. Um, so yeah, I think she was left a little bit exposed. So it's a 6 for me.
Yeah, I don't think she was at necessarily a 7 score. last week. Um, I do still think, and I did think following week nine, that she was probably going to be okay, at least up until this point moving forward. But I agree with you on everything on the Julia front, and I'm going to be at a six as well.
Okay. Moving on to week 10. Um, okay, actually, I think I want to eat my words. I said I was at two back-to-back green scores. The thing is, the question I'm asking myself is how can I justify giving Karina a green score in week 10 when
She would have,
Gabby and EJ were the two boots?
and she would have probably gone home if she didn't win safety.
Correct. And it still could have been EJ. Um, and like was on the block. And yeah, like I don't think I can justify her being at a green score, quite honestly. Um, do I think she should necessarily be at a red? No, because she is going to have Zion still riding hard for her. She's going to have Abdul riding hard for her, and she's really got Cooper on her side. And at the end of the day, that is three out of the five other people. However, based off of this week and the fact that she is kind of in a precarious position, I am going to give her a five. I'm not going to give her a red score. This was not the end all be all. And if anything, I'm hoping that like maybe now that Gabby and EJ are gone, like it'll actually free Karina up to just be like be a free agent and like move and make the moves that she needs to make. I don't know exactly what that means, but like Karina, for better or for worse, has been, I think, clouded a little bit by playing what's optimal for her allies and not solely herself, which is admirable, and I love that for her, and she's still here and hooray. But now that like most of her allies, I'd say, are gone, it really is just Zion that's left as like the person that I feel like she really feels the need to fight for. So hopefully that'll free her up just to do some shit. So it's gonna be a five from me. I'm thinking and hoping it could go back up, but she is kind of in a precarious position. So that's where I'm at.
I was going to be at a six, but I feel like you're right. Like two people left who were not good for her. It's hard because I feel like a lot of like bad things happen and good things happen. Like a close ally used the veto on her. Um, do I think she necessarily would have been in a ton of trouble? Probably not, but had someone use the veto on her. Contrary, she had two very close people go home. On the other hand, she was in severe danger if um she didn't win safety from the bet HOH twist. So it's like it is a lot happening right now. I do think she's still in a very strong position, but I also think that one slip and she could have been out the door this week. So I'm gonna go for a five as well. Roderick.
Ooh, Rod. Okay. Rod has had me for a while. I'm losing a little bit of hope here for Rod. Rod for me is kind of, as we've seen the whole season, been in this 4 to 5 precarious position of like he's the one that's seen things objectively because he's been on the bottom and he's like, what the fuck are we doing, everyone? He's also won a lot of comps and had power, and that's been great. We've started to lose me a little bit here as we approach this end game because I think he's losing sight a little bit in the sense that he's got this four with Zion and Abdul. And I think he's too trusting of them. And it's led him to make some faulty decisions. Um, in the Gabby week, he did end up getting put up on the block in the Gabby HOH week in week 9. He was put up on the block, won the veto, which is good. Um, however, then Julia went. I have him at the 4 still. And I'm gonna stick with what I wrote on my phone.
I'm also going to be at a
I
4.
think in week, yeah, I think in week 9 he was probably at a 4. He won the veto. He came off the block. He's been good at making deals with people. Um, yeah, I don't know. He's just kind of consistently been at the bottom, and I think he's losing sight of that fact. Looking ahead to week 10, Sarah was HOH, where they were successfully able to get out Gabby, which is good. That almost wasn't the case. Sarah implied to Rod that he could go up, and I almost got the sense that he was gonna like let it happen. Like he was gonna be upset by it, but like let it happen, which wasn't great. And then I do think that I said at the top of this rankings that I think Rod kind of fumbled this HOH in the double. And then I was like, wait, no, never mind. But I am like, I don't know. I think he uh, fumbled this HOH? No, because on paper, Karina is safe. He's got the group of himself, Sarah, Zion, and Abdul. Great. So you put up Cooper and EJ, like, great. That makes sense. Sure. Especially in a double eviction setting where you don't have time to make a move and like draw in allies and do all these things. However, from the jury's perspective of things, I think putting up Cooper and EJ looks weak as hell, especially when people have been saying, Zion is this threat, Abdul is in this middle position, all these things. And he just kind of like sat there and let them coast. Doesn't look great. Additionally, he has set himself up to be in a pretty shit position, I think. Especially comparative to the others. Yes, him and Sarah are a strong duo. However, I think of their four, like Zion is pushing for Sarah to be safe. Um, he's been having this go back and forth thing with Karina. Abdul, I think, is prioritizing not Rod. But like, I don't know. I just don't love his spot. And I think despite the boots not being the worst for him, he's actually probably ended up in a decently worse spot. I can't quite explain it because I don't feel the same way about Sarah, but I am going to go with my gut, and I think I'm going to go down to a 3 for Rod. I just don't think that positionally this was the optimal best thing, and I think him and Sarah should have started making moves like with Gabby on the way out this week, and that being clear, him and Sarah needed to start positioning themselves to take out Zion and Abdul soon, and they didn't do that, and I think that was actually their main issue. So it's going to be a 3 for me.
Um, yeah, I hear what you're saying about the 3. I think he's quickly losing respect of a lot of people that are being evicted, which could make his end game chances a little more difficult. I think what he has going for him is he definitely has the competition record right now. And although he can't compete in the next HOH, he's still got a veto he can play for sure. Um, I think I'm going to be pretty high on Sarah, so I think I'll stay at my 4 for Rod.
And that was the biggest thing I was struggling with as well.
Let's talk about Sarah.
Sarah. Okay. Damn. Wow. I'm really looking at like there's really not a lot of green scores going on, even when I'm feeling better about the season. Um, Sarah last week had a 2 from me and a 3 from Steven. Heading into week 9, she was able to do a lot of wiggling, a lot of damage control. At the moment, I think this group with her, Rod, Zion, and Abdul is wonderful. She was also at the tail end of things able to rekindle kind of relationship with Julia, which is great. She still has a relationship with Cooper, which is great, which I love. Her relationships are starting to build back up and was not doing as an atrocious of a tailspin as she was in week 8. For that reason, I will be raising my score and I'll be raising it to a 4 for Sarah in week 9. I don't have much more to say there. She's kind of a huge target. However, at the same she's a huge target, but it's like she's positioned herself, in my opinion, in a position where it's like people need Rod out first. In addition, I think people are counting her out as a potential winner when her game is actually, in my opinion, one of the strongest from like a story perspective in terms of what she's able to stand on and stand on business. Like I'm quite impressed. So it'll be up. I say that and I give her a 4. But for week 9, it's going to be a 4 for me.
I'm also at a 4 because she was on the block. She was first on the block against a very close ally. Um, and luckily for her, the nomination changed and all that. But there was a world where she went home in week 9. So I feel like I can't go above a 4 there for her. But I feel like we're gonna have some stuff to say about week 10, which I can
Yes.
talk about, I guess. Or yeah.
No, I'm ready. Sarah fucking Moynihan. I'm your biggest fan. I actually am so obsessed with her in the best of ways. I This is what I was texting Stephen earlier and saying, and we've definitely said this, Stephen. I think you were the one to say this in a prior rankings or a prior conversation that we had. Never have I seen a player that just gives 100% fire at
What was the
every
last time?
moment.
Was it?
Um, yeah, and last time, granted, it was in reference to the fact that she was spinning out over this thing that really didn't matter. However, in this moment, it was like she, to the bitter end, was like, EJ, do not use this veto. It's bad for you. You're hurting my feelings. You're personally attacking me. You're only playing Karina's game. You're the worst player ever. It doesn't make strategical sense. And all these things. And like, I love that because she fucked him. She also has this ability as strong as she comes off, as headstrong and tunnel vision as she comes off. She has a wonderful read on the game at this point. Quite honestly, one of the best. And yeah, she was right. Zion was the only one of the people that she could put up that would have allowed for Gabby to go home. If she put up Rod or Abdul, it would have been them going home. And she made the right move and didn't tell anyone about it. And granted, apparently this is after a long,